Welcome to the Crossplay Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Nicky James, sitting here today with my good friend Zach Ferguson.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk a little wrestling. But first, how you feeling today, Zach?
Feeling great.
We had a few to drink last night, and did you recover well?
I recovered well. I've had my morning beer.
You have some hair of the dog?
Some hair of the dog, so I'm feeling great.
Good, me too. I'm feeling real good. So let's just get right into it. Great Balls of Fire 2017 is coming up this Sunday. It's the very first Great Balls of Fire event. Ridiculous name that they've somehow managed to turn into something interesting. I don't know, have you seen the graphics they've been using for it? They use like the old 1950s drive-in malt shop look. Have you seen any of that yet?
I haven't, no.
It's really cool. Like, it took a really stupid name and made it look flashy and cool, so I was really impressed. So we're going to run down some quick predictions for you guys. Let's start from the top. Enzo and Big Cass. Zach, what's your take on that?
Great feud. It had to break up eventually.
Yeah.
But let's be real, it's a 7-footer versus a concussion-prone cokehead.
Yep.
Someone's getting kicked in the face, and his name is Enzo Amore. And Big Cass wins this one. Big.
Yeah, and you know what? Promos don't win matches.
Nope.
And Enzo could cut a promo all day, every day, but he doesn't have the physicality to beat Big Cass. He just cannot beat him clean.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
So we're both on the same page.
Yep.
Big Cass. Moving on really quickly here to Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship.
Gotta go with my girl Sasha Banks on this one. She is, outside of Charlotte, the most talented wrestler in the women's division. Alexa Bliss, just like Enzo Amore can cut a promo, she can.
Yeah.
But
she's got a great character, Alexa Bliss.
A great character, and she is really good and confident on the mic, but put her in the ring with Sasha Banks, and she doesn't stand a chance.
Skills don't match up at all. Alexa has been champion now, it feels like for months. I think we're somewhere in the months period as for her championship reign. Do you think she's been a good champion, or do you think it's just time for her to give up the belt, or do you just think Sasha's better and that's why she's going to win?
No, I think she's actually a great champion. She's a fantastic heel. I mean, she can get anyone to hate her. So, I mean, she's very talented on the mic, and that is probably the most important thing in wrestling and character development. So, I mean, yeah, she's been a great champion, but it's time for a face to get it. It's time for Sasha Banks to win.
I agree. I think, back last year they were hot potatoing the belt a lot between Charlotte and Sasha. Do you remember that?
I do.
They were having Hell in a Cell matches on Raw. They were awesome matches, but the problem was they kept hot potatoing the title back and forth. Sasha had it for a week. Charlotte had it for 2 weeks, and it kind of hurts the credibility of the title, I feel like. And I feel like they've kind of went hard the other direction, giving it to Alexa for so long. And it's not that she's a bad champion or not a good wrestler. It's that she's got a huge future in front of her. She's going to win the belt again. So it's not going to hurt her to lose it to Sasha right now.
Yeah, it won't hurt it. But just going back to your point on it hot potatoing between Sasha Banks and Charlotte, I don't think that necessarily diminishes the belt. But I think it really speaks to how good Sasha Banks really is. The fact that she's on the same level as Charlotte. Yeah. That she's worthy of flipping a belt back and forth.
Yeah.
I think it's been Charlotte's earned a well-needed break from the spotlight.
That's very true. She carried the women's division all of last year.
She carried it, and Sasha Banks, who is just a gamer, she is down. She's still in the running for the belt, so I think she deserves it, and
so we're both giving it to Sasha then.
Yeah.
All right, moving on now to Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in a highly anticipated, by me at least, ambulance match. This has been a really hot feud for the last few weeks. Braun came back from an injury. He was supposed to be out for I think another month. But with his superhuman, I'm not finished with you abilities, he came back and interrupted Reigns' match 2 weeks ago, and they've quickly built up this feud for Great Balls of Fire in an ambulance match. I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion first here. I think Braun wins. I I am such a mark for Braun Strowman right now. He is everything about him is great, and he's only getting better. And if he doesn't pick up that ambulance and hit Roman Reigns with it at some point, I will be so mad. I think he wins. Of course, it's Roman Reigns, so he's going to kick out of multiple finishers. And I don't even think it's a pinning match. It's an ambulance match. So I think he's going to recover and no-sell like Roman Reigns does. But I think in the end, Braun is going to win.
So what is an ambulance match? Like, what is that just a hardcore match with an ambulance there?
Well, you figure it's the no disqualification, of course. And I think the way you win this match, the stipulation is you got to wear out your opponent so much that you drag him up the ramp and throw him into the back of an ambulance, close the door, pat the ambulance takes off, you win. Quick question, do you see this ending clean?
Definitely not. No. Someone's
shenanigans?
Yeah. Someone's going to get fucked up in this match. Braun Strowman is going to come back with receipts galore for Roman Reigns.
Yep.
And Roman is the type of wrestler that he's not scared to dish out a receipt himself. So we're going to see these guys fuck each other up.
Who wins?
LOL, Roman wins. What we do know about this, you got to beat them down, you got to wear them down till you drag them into an ambulance. So this is going to be a stamina match. It's going to be a war of attrition. It's going to be who's got the best cardio. Braun Strowman, when's the last time we've seen him in the ring?
He's not known for putting on long matches. In fact, I can only think of one, and that was against the Big Show a few months ago. And it was a great match, but it was the only time he's gone 10 minutes. You know?
Right, but he's going 10 minutes with the Big Show, someone who's not exactly very known for his long bangers.
Yeah.
So I mean, someone like Roman Reigns, he's been in some long matches, and I think the longer this one goes, the more it'll favor Roman Reigns.
So you say Roman.
So I say Roman.
That's good. See the way he's standing. This picture we're looking at shows Braun standing in the doorway of an ambulance with the doors open. I think it's going to end with Roman spearing him just like that into the ambulance and closing the door, or a Superman punch, but a spear would be cooler.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that would be awesome.
So last but certainly not least, we have Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Universal Championship. What's your take?
Oh, all right. This is going to be a gnarly match. This is going to be one of the most savage, hardcore, roughneck brawls.
You think?
Oh, yes. We're talking about
I'm so excited.
Joe
I'm so
and
excited.
Brock Lesnar. And their last promo ended with Samoa Joe landing some punches on Brock in the corner. And
yeah, that's right.
And Brock never got his chance to hit him back. And we're talking about Brock Lesnar, a guy who left WWE to go to UFC because of he's such a competitor. He wanted to prove himself there. His time there, when you're training for MMA, you can't let someone get something on you and not give them a receipt.
Samoa Joe's no Mark Hunt. And look what Brock did to Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, brutalized him.
So you're going with Brock, or?
So I'm going with Brock, but what I think is going to happen is I think he's going to stiff him a little too hard. We might even see a Randy Orton.
Randy Orton levels of a...
We just may, because Brock is a changed man. He's not the same Brock Lesnar he was back in the day. He's a jock. He's an asshole. He's a MMA fighter.
And he's only in it for the money and because he likes to hurt people. And he's made that perfectly clear. That's why he's not on Raw every week.
Yep.
That's why he hasn't defended this title once.
Yeah.
He's only there for the money, and it's a free pass to hurt somebody.
That's exactly right.
So I think, because of that, I think, or at least I hope, that Samoa Joe wins. I really want them to take the belt off of Brock, because it's absolutely ridiculous to me that he hasn't defended the title once since WrestleMania. And we had Naomi last year, won the title for her very first time in her hometown. A couple weeks later, she had to relinquish it because she had a shoulder injury that was going to sideline her for 6 weeks. So it's just a weird double standard that I wish they would kind of play fair across the board. I know Naomi's no Brock Lesnar, and let's be honest, the women's title is no Universal title.
Well, WrestleMania was when?
I think
3
it was
months ago?
Late March, yeah.
So, I mean, if they're changing this belt to be more like a UFC or a boxing belt, they only defend their belts 3 times a year. So with all this crossover between MMA fans UFC fans, boxing fans coming to the WWE, myself included, when you see a belt get put on the line every week, it makes it look like a weak belt. It makes it look like...
Well, like what's happening with Sasha Banks and Charlotte before.
Exactly. That was one way of interpreting that.
So do you think the lack of title defenses, do you think that ups the interest in this one because they're lesser?
Absolutely. I think it makes every title defense now seem so much more important because it's something that you only see 3 times, 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. So then when the belt's on the line, you have to watch that pay-per-view. So I think it's a smart move by the WWE to put the belt off out of title contention for so long.
Okay, so a quick wrap up here. 2 quick questions. Who wins? How? Or 3 questions. And is it going to be a clean victory? Or will there be some shenanigans, interference, something?
So I think Brock wins. And it's going to be a savage victory. He's going to land probably some nasty elbows, some stiff knees. He's been kneeing the shit out of his opponents lately.
Yeah.
He's probably going to do a move like that that'll really hurt Samoa Joe. And either secure a pin or get a TKO victory like he did against Randy Orton.
So clean?
Clean, but kind of dirty. Clean as a closed fist is. I mean,
as a closed fist.
Yeah.
No, when I say clean, I mean no interference.
No interference. Yeah, I doubt, because who else is?
Goldberg could come back.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, I doubt it would happen. There would probably be so much buzz about it, but I mean, yeah.
Or there'd be no buzz about it.
Or Seth Rollins could come and mess it up for Joe. They've been feuding forever.
Seth Rollins, is he's off his injury or no?
He's not even on the card, I don't think. Which is crazy. Your cover boy for your new game is not even on your card.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Joe's gonna win via submission, the Cochino clutch.
Yep. All right.
I think the match is gonna go longer than 10 minutes.
Okay.
And I think it'll end clean. I think I have really low hopes for this pay-per-view, which usually has me coming out happy in the end. So let's move on from Great Balls of Fire to some opinion pieces here. Zach, what, in your mind, this is the question that's been on my mind for a long time, and some people don't like talking about it, involves death. What does a post-Vince McMahon WWE look like? Do you think there'd be any changes in terms of booking, the type of wrestlers we see, just general attitude around the corporation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Vince McMahon is, it's known that he's a lover of big white guys.
Yep, big sweaty men.
Big sweaty men. And the faces of this company have always been big burly white guys, and so we might see more minorities, different ethnicities becoming champion and becoming faces. Someone like The Rock was more sort of groundbreaking in that he was such a face superstar as a big Samoan guy as opposed to a big white guy, and I think we'll see more of that now that Vince.
So more diversity.
More diversity, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think so too. I'm not calling Vince McMahon a racist, but a lot of the shit he's done in the past would point to that. Trying to suppress the first black champion for years and years and years until Ron Simmons, Farouk, won it in WCW and then just came over to WWE with the belt.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, well, I guess we have a black champion now. Things like curb stomping Big E during Black History Month celebration.
That's pretty blatant.
Yeah, Titus O'Neil touched his arm and he suspended him for 3 months. Things like that. So
yeah.
I think that attitude will hopefully change, that since it'll be a younger generation, and that younger generation is only about 25 years younger. It's Triple H and them, So I think we'll see a lot of change in terms of booking, less cheesy matches, and hopefully a return to wrestling-focused wrestling.
Are there any cheesy matches that Vince is known for putting on?
Well, we got the upcoming Punjabi prison match, which is incredibly racist also sounding.
Yes.
And why is it always...
But the alliteration makes it okay.
Yeah, alliteration fixes everything. Yeah, he's at the Punjabi prison match. They've done the matches like mud wrestling between women. That was of course in the Attitude Era. There's I can't really think of anything. He's no Vince Russo, but he has had his embarrassing match types and things like that. He likes to expose people and just make them look bad. Like he made Trish Stratus bark like a dog and get on her hands and knees and kiss his feet in the ring because of something she did backstage. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's a very vindictive guy.
Yeah.
So
pretty clear.
So all in all, I think Vince being out of the picture in WWE is good for the company. I think it's going to be a great evolution, and it's going to be the most interesting time in sports entertainment history. I think everyone will be watching the company so closely because whatever happens in the months after that is going to dictate the next 50 years or so of the company. You know what I mean?
Yes. Absolutely. So I actually want to talk about that Punjabi prison match.
Okay, yeah.
So what is that? From what it sounds like, it's going to be a Hell in a Cell match, just Indian themed.
It's sort of like, it's so stupid. It's sort of like a Hell in a Cell. It's a bamboo cage constructed around the ring, tight like a cage match. But then further out, like a Hell in a Cell, is a much larger structure, also made of bamboo. So you basically, it's like a double thick cage match. There's two cages you have to escape. But the cages are really big, it's bamboo, so there's a lot of footholds, and you can jump from one to the other. They had, the reason why it's looked at as a joke is because in 2008, Batista was in the very first one against the Great Khali. The problem was the Great Khali was, I think it was like a staph infection he had, or something the day of, and he could hardly move, let alone perform a wrestling match. So the match was not good at all. And it made a laughingstock of the whole idea.
Wow.
So the general consensus from people like me was just laughter when they brought it back. It was, really, guys, like, okay, we got a brown person, possibly from India, even though he's from Canada. Let's put him in a Punjabi prison match. So yeah, I think, but the good thing is, the silver lining here is it cannot be worse than that match.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be entertaining at the very least.
And who are the participants?
Jinder Mahal, the modern day Maharaja.
Okay.
And Super Snake Randy Orton.
And what about the Singh brothers? Are they going to be?
I don't know what the plan for them is. I mean, I don't know if they can be ringside or Punjabi prison side. I don't know what the
way
deal
you described being able to jump from the cage and stuff like that, that's not really something I could foresee Randy Orton or Jinder Mahal really doing outside of like a simple elbow drop.
Well, it wasn't something I could foresee Batista doing either. And in 2008, he did it. It looked like an action movie scene. Like he jumped across a lot of air to grab onto the other cage.
Okay.
I would be shocked if the Singh brothers weren't involved, because they literally have been involved in every single match he's done. So it wouldn't be any surprise if they were also here.
Yeah. I want to talk about women's wrestling as a whole. So we've seen quite the change over these last few years. Women's wrestling, from what I remember when I first started watching wrestling as a kid, it was all about divas. There was Sable.
Puppies.
Oh yeah, Jerry the King Lawler.
Puppies.
Always hooting and hollering. And
hooting and hollering.
As a male viewer, I like it, obviously, because who doesn't like to see sexy women?
And we were like 15 at the time, so it was like perfect time.
True. So, but to this day, there's certain women wrestlers that that I like because they look good. But it's also been great to see wrestlers like Charlotte Flair come and really, I think Charlotte Flair, I think she's as good as any wrestler in the WWE. She could do the flippy shit. She could be a roughneck.
Yeah, I would personally put Charlotte in my top 5 in the company, period.
Absolutely.
Man or woman. She's amazing. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
Well, it's been great to see her thrive like that. But the problem right now is there's really no one who can compete with her outside of Sasha Banks. The rest of the women's division, they're kind of plain. They very horrible gimmicks, whether it's Becky Lynch or even Naomi. There's the characters that they have are usually either really cheesy or really generic. And then their skills, they kind of suck. Like, I mean, Bayley, let's be honest, she's not a good ring performer. And so right now, I think we're in this weird era of transition where the skilled wrestlers are starting to come to the top in the women's division, but they don't have the competition to really make it interesting.
You know when I think that transition happened it was due to the death of the Diva search. Did you ever hear about that? You know what that was?
No.
In about 2004, Vince McMahon started a reality show called The Diva Search, where it was a reality show finding the next WWE Diva. A lot of women came from that show, like Eva Mendes, the one you see on WWE Total Divas, Alicia Fox, the crazy chick.
Alicia Fox.
A lot of those women actually came and are still around, but what happened was when they started doing that, they stopped hiring female wrestlers and they started hiring models that they would try to train to be wrestlers, and it never worked. Not one of them became a good known wrestler. I think I'm trying to rack my brain.
Like Eve Marie.
Yeah. Eve Marie came through the Diva Search.
Oh, she came through that then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and what happened was around 2000, that show only lasted a few years, and then around 2012, they stopped doing the whole hiring models thing, and they tried to start hiring wrestlers. And that's when you started to see people like Paige and Becky Lynch and Charlotte start to get to the age where they could compete, on the main roster. I think that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about when Vince McMahon is no longer in charge. Was a Vince McMahon thing. Like the hiring, Vince McMahon creation, hiring the divas, the whole term divas, that pink butterfly belt they used to, that no one could take seriously.
Yeah.
So those won't be around anymore when Vince McMahon leaves. The women's division is the best right now than it has ever been in the history of professional wrestling, period, in any company. They have the best athletes. They're putting on the best matches. They're main eventing. It's an amazing time. I mean, this is another topic, but it's an amazing time for wrestling, period, just because of the talent that's there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Sami Zayn, not a top-tier wrestler, but he's a better wrestler than anybody in the mid-card in the Attitude Era, in my opinion. Better athlete. Because back then, they were way better stories, shit athletes.
Right.
You had your standouts like The Rock, etc. But today, it's amazing athletes, best in the planet. Horrible stories.
Yes.
It swung hard the other way.
It did swing. Going back to wrestling.
Yeah, sorry, I got off there.
No, that's okay. Going back to women's wrestling, though, what do you think this will do for the viewers? So, wrestling, when we were kids, it was just a sport for the boys.
Well, it's
Young
good.
boys liked it. Old guys liked it.
Yeah.
Girls did not like it.
Yep.
And do you think that has anything to do with the Diva era? And do you think women's wrestling now, in its technicality and how we see actually skillful wrestlers, do you think that'll get a bigger women audience?
If you treat something seriously, people are going to take it seriously. And wrestling, on the women's side of wrestling, was never taken seriously until about 2013, 14. And now they're taking it seriously, so everyone else is. Even the guys like me that grew up treating women's matches as a bathroom break match. They're showing us instead of telling us, which is great.
Yeah.
I think it empowers young girls, which is great if they want to be into wrestling. I think people like Sasha Banks or Charlotte are great role models. Not in kayfabe, but IRL.
Right. No.
I think it's good all around. There's absolutely no downside to this.
Yeah.
And I think the women's division is best in the world.
So if we look at the women's division now, and we compare it to the Diva era, there was one wrestler that I think could hang in today's women's division, and that's got to be Chyna.
Joanie Lawler. Yeah, Chyna.
Joanie Lawler.
Chyna was amazing. She was the only woman to ever compete in a Royal Rumble and get eliminations. She was the first and only women's Intercontinental Champion. She would definitely destroy in today's roster.
Do you think she'd handle Charlotte?
No.
No.
No. I think it's classic. What I was just saying earlier, athletes are much better today. China was hired because she's an oddity, not because of her athletic ability. I think China's strength is not enough to even begin to put a scratch in Charlotte. I think Charlotte's technical ability would work circles around China. Yeah.
Yeah, probably Sasha Banks as well, when you put it like that, because China was just pretty much a bodybuilder, kind of.
Yeah. They literally hired her because they saw her in a gym and she was huge.
Really?
Yeah. That's what got her started. China's great. She's got more power than any woman in the company, including the bigger ones like Nia Jax.
Oh, wow.
She's got more power, and she is a better worker than a lot of the women in terms of she's safe. She's not killing people like Nia Jax is on a regular basis. But she's just no match for Charlotte, I think. I don't think we have anything else to talk about today. Do you have anything else you wanted to get to?
Well, there was the childhood bangers.
Yes. Yeah, let's get through that. Let's make it quick. We only got a few minutes left here, so let's make it quick. So my question was, I'm glad you brought that up because I really wanted to talk about that. Who from our childhood do you think could come back and put on a 4 or 5 star match, still at their own age now, and who would their opponent be?
Okay.
Let's get our answers. And what do you think?
Okay. Well, I have to go with the greatest wrestler of all time, in my opinion, and that's The Rock.
The Rock?
The Rock, to this day, he's still in great shape. Mm-hmm. He's gotten a lot bigger than he was before, but if he were to train for a long, 20-minute match, I think he could do it.
Yeah, he would not be the same Rock. His style would be totally different because of his size, I think.
He'd have to.
You wouldn't see that float over DDT he does as much, I think. I don't even know if he could do a kip up at that size.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he could. Well, I would never discredit him because I think if he knew he was coming back to wrestle, he would train for all that. Mm-hmm. He would get in the ring. He's such a hard worker. He would get in the ring. He'd be in the gym at 4 a.m, working on his float over DDTs, working on his rock bottoms, people's elbows. He'd be up in the mirror all night practicing his people's eyebrow.
Yeah.
I think he would come back and put on a banger with anyone in the WWE.
No specific opponent in mind?
If there was a specific opponent, I'd like to see him wrestle AJ Styles.
Yeah.
AJ is probably one of the best wrestlers around, and that would just be an amazing match to see. I think The Rock would definitely end up winning clean, and it'd be a great match to see, though.
That would be an ultimate dream match, and it could probably only happen for the next 6 or 7 years until The Rock gets a little older and probably can't go in the ring as well. But that would be a dream match. My answer is going to be Shawn Michaels, HBK. I think he's old. He's an older guy, but he is Mr. WrestleMania, and he is still in good shape, he says. And he could come in and perform a match with, my choice was the same as yours, AJ Styles versus Shawn Michaels would be a dream match.
Oh, wow.
They could put on an absolute banger. And if it were to happen in kayfabe, next year's WrestleMania, say, obviously they'd give it to AJ, I think, because he's the younger guy and he's got a future ahead of him, and Shawn would pass the torch, Yep. But it would be an amazing match. So, if you have an opinion, let us know on Twitter at Crossplay Pod. Who is someone from your childhood that you think could come back and perform a 5-star match today, and let us know who their opponent is. That's about it today for the Crossplay Podcast. I've been Nicky James. He's been Mr. Zach. You can find us all over the internet at Twitter at Crossplay Pod. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/crossplay. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/crossplay. We're also on Instagram at Crossplay Podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. We're going to see you next time on the Crossplay Podcast. Zach, do you have anything to say to the people?
I love you.
I love you too, guys. I'm glad we ended the podcast with love. There you go. See you next time, guys.